When you shine a light on the investments of California Democrat politicians, guess what you find out? Hypocrisy. Plus, California Republicans might be shut out of the U.S. Senate race in 2024. And finally, how bad are the stats for your local school district? We'll tell you how you can find out. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and these are the stories that we're tracking today. First and foremost, California Democrat politicians have always been lecturing us that climate change is a calamity, that we're going to die in 12 years, and that we have to basically wreck our economy and spike the cost of living for working families way above what they can afford. All because the religion, the devotion to this bizarre and hysterical climate change narrative that they've been following. But you know that they don't really believe their own BS on climate change because they don't seem to be making changes themselves to become green and reduce their climate footprint. We've all heard about the Hollywood elites that are flying around on private jets with a huge climate footprint, a carbon footprint, lecturing us on how we need to basically get rid of our air conditioning, our gas stoves, and it's all hypocrisy. But even the politicians in California have shown they don't believe that the carbon-based energy sources are necessarily bad. They actually think they're quite green financially. Here's the story in the LA Times. Environmentalists investing in big oil inside the surprising stock portfolios of California lawmakers. Now, one of the things that I love doing is looking at what we call the Form 700s of politicians. Every politician, whether they're at the local level or the state level, have to, in the state of California, file a Form 700 once a year, disclosing where their investments are. What leases do they have? What property do they own? What stocks do they own? What businesses do they have a financial position in? Where do they get their income? It's all because we want to be transparent and find out whether these politicians are on the take, whether they're voting on things that have an impact on their personal portfolio. Well, what's interesting about a review of these portfolios, here's the amount of investments that some of the assembly members and state senators have. It can be millions of dollars down to a couple $100,000. What's interesting, though, is that they break down their investment holdings, and you find that Democrats seem to really love big oil. I know. Isn't it amazing? As much as they lecture us as to why we should be paying higher gas prices and electricity rates and getting rid of our gas stoves with $30,000 per house retrofit mandates, those same Democrats are do as I say, not as I do. And so we've got Assemblymember Pellerin, endorsed by all the environmental clubs, and she's known as a climate hero, according to some of them. Well, she has a big chunk of her $2 million invested in ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell, according to her Form 700s. Then you've got another $10,000 that she has in Freeport McMoran, a metal mining company. There's a fine millions of dollars by the federal government for polluting rivers and streams. Nice investment there, Assemblywoman. Another $10,000 is invested in her portfolio in Dow Chemical. They manufacture napalm. They also have a bunch of pesticides that are harmful to the endangered species. She invests in Philip Morris, the tobacco company. I mean, I could go on and on and on. These people look at her. She's got her big thumbs up there. Yeah. Look at that. Hypocrite. Big old hypocrite. She will have no problem grandstanding on the environment or against tobacco while she's reaping massive profits from those same positions in her own personal stock portfolio. So it's very interesting. And she's not the only one. Richard Roth, a state senator, has $730,000 in investments, including a lot of money in Chevron, Phillips 66. They actually had to settle a lawsuit with the state of California for polluting our state. These are the same blowhard Democrats that lecture us and impose all sorts of mandates on us while clearly saying in their own stock portfolios that they're not too terribly concerned about climate change and carbon-based fuel. It's the same example as Barack Obama buying a multi-million dollar mansion in Martha's Vineyard about a year or two ago. At the same time saying that there's a global rise in the seas. Well, if he really believes that, why is he buying in one of the areas that is projected to be underwater very soon, according to the alarmists pushing the Green New Deal, the climate change hysteria? So I just want to point all this stuff out because I always say follow the money. And the money usually leads to some very interesting revelations. Next up, in the U.S. Senate race here in California, you have these Democrats running, Katie Porter, Barbara Lee, Adam Schiff. Ugh, all three of them are just a rotten lot. But the question becomes, will we even have a chance to vote in the runoff in November? Vote for a Republican? Or will we be basically given a choice between being hung and being shot, Dumb and Dumber, two Democrats with no real opportunity to vote for any sort of alternative? Well, that's where this latest poll, Survey USA, caught my attention. It takes a snapshot of support right now in the California U.S. Senate race, and it shows that Schiff is leading at 22%, and Porter is at 15%, and Barbara Lee is at 12%. Garvey is at 12%. Steve Garvey, the Republican baseball hero, is at 15%. Porter and Barbara Lee are at 12%. Now, the reason why this is important is that Garvey, this is the first poll that shows that he's actually inching into second place. But if you look at those numbers, 22% for pencil neck Schiff, 15% for Garvey, Steve Garvey, the Republican, and then 12 and 12 for Porter and Lee. That's all in the margin of error for second place. It is still very possible, because Garvey does not have a whole lot of money, absolutely possible that Garvey won't make the runoff, and then we'll be choosing between two Democrats in the general election. I don't want that to happen. I think it will suppress the Republican vote because the top federal office on the legislative branch will be basically a lock for Democrats. Again, I understand it's probably a long shot for Republicans to win in California. Totally understand that. But I still believe that it's important to have a strong contrast in each of these races and try to get a Republican in the runoff in every single seat by uniting the vote. So my question to you is, there are a number of Republicans running for Senate. Most of them don't have the name ID that Steve Garvey has. Do you think Reform California should endorse Steve Garvey on our Reform California voter guide? Sound off in the comment section below and let me know. Also, by commenting below and liking this video, you can help us break through the censorship of big tech and help us get this video out to more people so that we can spread our message. While you're at it, please smash the notification button on this YouTube channel and follow this channel so that you can get ongoing updates on California news and politics that we post every day at 5 o'clock. The top stories, California news and politics, with a decidedly reform-minded take, not the liberal take of mainstream media. Next topic I want to get to is school dashboards. California actually has a school dashboard that you can go to, and you can look up your own school district to see how it performs. You go to caschooldashboard.org, caschooldashboard.org. You can type in your school or the district that you live in, or anywhere near your city or county, and it will pop up the school districts in your area. They've got a red color for low performance. Orange is not so good. Yellow is like meh. Green is okay, and blue is the highest performance. But here's the catch. This is comparing schools to the average in the state, and that's not saying much. So even if all of your stats are blue or green, it may not mean that you have an adequately performing school. The reality is 2/3 of California students are failing the math proficiencies. A majority are failing reading and writing. This is outrageous. And we are spending so much per student in California. So it's not a lack of money. No, this is because our state really doesn't have focus on the fundamentals, reading, writing, and arithmetic. They're too interested in advancing social agendas, political far left agendas, controversial sex ed curriculum, using schools to push these political agendas, and fighting with parents on topics that have nothing to do with academics. And that's what you get with Gavin Newsom. That's what you get with California Democrats. And all of their bills have nothing to do with dealing with the core issues of academic performance. Now, some of the standards that they're looking at, let me go here to the Union Tribune standards for San Diego County, because I was looking at my school district. They have standards for English, language arts, math, suspension rate, chronic absenteeism, graduation rate, English learner progress. And so those are the categories that you can look up to see how your school district is performing. And again, I caution you that it's all relative to the kind of very lethargic, low performing status of California schools. This all gets into why Reform California and our movement focus on every race. We just mentioned the Senate race and whether we're going to do an endorsement for Steve Garvey there to see if we can get our side united to get into the runoff. But we go and we endorse in every important race, state assembly, state senate, Congress, all the way down to school boards, because I don't believe that any seat should be left uncontested. We need a reform-minded, principled candidate with integrity in every race. And Reform California's voter guide tries to select the best candidate in each race. And we also want to make sure we have a candidate to select by recruiting, training, mentoring, and supporting candidates to run for a variety of offices. So I want you to help us out with that respect. If you're interested in running for school board, let my office know. Contact us at reformcalifornia.org. Go to supportcaparents.org. That's the direct page to the campaign for reforming school boards by electing better leaders. Supportcaparents.org. That's the website. But also chip in a contribution at reformcalifornia.org. Help us power this movement. We are entirely funded by grassroots supporters. It helps us bring these videos and news stories to you every day. It also helps us endorse candidates, train them, and of course, put out our voter guide, the Reform California Plain English Voter Guide. So those are our top 3 stories today as we approach the Christmas holidays and the end of the year. 2024 is going to be a big election year here in California. I need your help. I need you to join our movement. And you can do that at the website, reformcalifornia.org. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.